So when there's not enough space to put your plants on shelves or in pots or in the garden, and maybe you're a bit of a collector of air plants, orchids, oh, what else? Staghorns, yeah, all those yummy things. Where on earth do you put them? Yeah, I guess, I know, you can use hooks and you can hook, but you know, sometimes you run out of that, so you've got to make a space. Guys, today we've come up with a brilliant framework that is quick, easy, and I'm sure that you will find use for it, not only for your plants, but for a lot of other gadgets around the home and garden as well. For our framework, we're going to need the following. It's called planed all-round timber, par timber. You're going to need 2 pieces, which are 720 millimeters in length. That is cut. So they're cut at a 45, so the inside is 515 millimeters. It's a standard piece of timber, which is 21 millimeters in height and 104 millimeters in width. The second piece that you're going to need, exactly the same, except that this is cut at 1.2. You're going to cut a 45 degree on that, and that's going to give you 990 millimeters on the inside. So you've got 4 pieces. Next up, you're going to need a drill with a screw pilot, a screwdriver, sander, a hammer, some 16 millimeter screws, U-nails, and a section of welded mesh, which is 1 meter by 600. Paintbrush, a paddle, and of course your sealer to protect the wood. Alright guys, our first step, we've got our 4 pieces of timber. All we've got to do now is give them a light sanding, get rid of all these bits and edges here. Then once we're happy with that, give it a dust and then give it a wipe down with a clean cloth with some mineral terps. Alrighty guys, 4 pieces of timber are ready and prepped. Now we get down to applying our first coat of sealer wood protector that is going to ensure that this wood is going to last for a long time. So we're going to be using this exterior polywax sealer, which is going to do the job perfectly. Plus it's got a color in it already. Okay, very importantly, when you are using this is to stir it, not shake it. Give it a good stir. Guys, we're going to apply this first coat, and on the first coat you're going to see that the wood is really going to suck it all in. So try and get your first coat nice and even. Leave that to dry, and that's important, leave it to dry. Once your first coat is dry, then you're going to get some fine steel wool, give it a quick buff, and then wipe it down with a clean cloth with mineral turpentine. That just smooths it off beautifully. Thereafter, second coat on, same procedure. You are going to buff it down with the steel wool, dust it off, and give it a good wipe down with mineral terps. And then you're good to go for your third and final coat. All right, folks, our 4 pieces of timber are perfect. They have been sealed and are good to go. Now, we start the assembling. And I'm working on a flat piece of plywood just so that I know that everything is going to be square and lined up, because my workbench is not so level. So we just get them over there. We can use one of these little gadgets. Okay, now that that is in place and really nice and secure, now we're going to take these little clamps. Guys, they're very inexpensive and you can pick them up at your local hardware store, and they come in different lengths and shapes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to place one there. I'm just going to mark for ease 1, 2, okay? Then I'm going to just get this first one in. But I've made the marks, so I'm comfortable I can let it go now. And what I'm using there, just to help me get in there. Because if you're using pine, what can sometimes happen is it can actually split. So in this case, we're using one of these little bits with a pilot hole, and that's just going to get me going. And I know where my mark is, so pop it there, and that's it. And my second one is there. And The most difficult part is getting the first one in. So I've got these short little timber screws, change my drill bit, and let's get the first one in. Now that the first 2 screws are on my metal joiner, I don't need to do any more pilot holes because I know it's in the right spot. Now it's simply a case of getting these screws into the right area. Right folks, so we have attached the 4 metal joiners to our corners, and now what we're going to do is add a second one following the same angle all the way around, so it's another 4 in exactly the same way. That means that our frame is going to be nice and strong and sturdy. Alright guys, now it's time to get our piece of weld mesh fencing in place. All we do is kind of get like where it should go, and we're going to use these little U-nails. Now you're going to love or hate them. They can be quite a challenge, and they are going to get popped here and then knocked into place. So hammer, give them a good whack. Every second or third gap in the fencing should be perfect, and we're just going to do that all the way around. All that's left to do is find a suitable spot where your epiphytes will enjoy the correct amount of light.